Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same.
Make you wonder, too, if they can win a World Series with him playing shortstop. Only time will tell. But you said it right yesterday. And I think this is what people need to understand and just say there is a huge separation between his offense and his defense. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Like there's not any more of, well, can he figure it out? It's just he's an elite hitter and he is a below average defender. I mean, we just can't sugarcoat it anymore. Like it is a fact now. So I think
Strong words.
Can't sugarcoat it anymore. And here's the truth, man. I honestly still believe Bo Bichette can be an average defender at shortstop. But after hearing that from Kevin Barker, it does make me question it because we always bring this up, dude, right? Yeah, you and I, we watch baseball all the time. We know more than, let's say, the average human on the planet. But there's also 8 billion humans on the planet, and just because we're in the top 50% doesn't mean much. But Kevin Barker, I mean, former major league player, he's been in the game since he was a small child. He definitely knows the game better than we do and probably has a better eye for when a player's development at a certain state is what it is. So to hear Kevin Barker come out and say that it is worrisome, because we talked about this a little bit yesterday. If Bo Bichette is not a major league defensive shortstop and is only going to hinder this team defensively throughout the season and even worse come the playoffs, what do you do? We are already almost backed into a corner for 2023. There's almost no options other than continuing to strut Bo Bichette out to that shortstop position. I know there's people that we can all sit here and scream into the ethos, move him to second. But Adam, we have 3 second basemen on this team already.
I mean, everyone is going to just say, move Espinal to shortstop. Espinal is a better defensive shortstop than Bo Bichette. I'm also not confident that that's the case over 162 games.
I mean, I think he probably is, but is
not like it's a one, because once you make that change, there's no going back.
No, and you're right, Adam. You're right. So let's just say he is a better shortstop. Let's just for now say that he is. And I do believe he is a better defensive shortstop than Bo. Is he better defensively enough that the drop in offense at that position is going to balance out that switch?
That doesn't make
sense. But I guess if you move him to second base,
it's no different bat in the lineup. Like it's still, I guess
other than Espinal's in all the time and Merrifield and Biggio are just bench players.
Sure. So if that's the case, if we're looking at it from a standpoint of Whit Merrifield is better offensively than Santiago Espinal, so you're going from an infield where, let's just say it, a majority of the time, your batting order has Bo Bichette and Whit Merrifield in it, to now, yeah, if there's a drop-off from Merrifield to Espinal, because that would be a thing. Bo Bichette is not coming out at second base.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be a drop-off. Can Whit Merrifield play shortstop? Could we just shift that whole merry-go-round at second base to the other side?
Get Cavan in there playing
I don't really
short.
care to see Cavan Biggio playing shortstop. I saw enough of him struggling at third.
I mean, by the way, everyone watching and listening would love to hear your comments. Feel free to drop those, because it is a real rock and a hard place spot. And it does feel like a position where the Jays just don't have a lot of options or wiggle room right now. Maybe something can be done at the trade deadline. And listen, this is something that I brought up yesterday on Long Toss. It is early in the season, and it's almost unfair to Bo Bichette because it's so easy. Like I just don't count almost anyone else's performance to this point. A 3-game series, you can literally take any segment throughout the season of a 3-game sample size and write it off, right? But for Bo, because these are problems we have seen popping their ugly head up time and time and time again, it's really hard to ignore it. And I know that this is
hard. It's really hard to justify the small sample size.
It is
label
when there's a large sample size from 2 years past just glaring you in the face, right? And this is something that Garth brought up, and it is frustrating with Bo because it does feel like it's between the ears, right? And I know there's people that will argue that, but you see his range. He gets to balls. It's just he just airmails so many of them.
I genuinely believe at this point in his career, and I thought he was gonna take another step forward in terms of his like physical development as he matures into his prime as a grown man. The arm strength isn't there for shortstop. So the throw that we saw him throw away, and I mean, throw any examples you want with Vladdy having to come off the base or stretch for or dive for or whatever. I mean, count. That's why Vladdy won a Gold Glove last year, was on the back of Bo Bichette's weak arm, right? Highlight reel after highlight reel of Vladdy digging stuff out of the dirt or jumping off base, catching it and tagging the runner running down. But with Bo's arm not being good enough, it just means that in those situations, he has to max effort to get the ball there. And when you're throwing with max effort, you sacrifice accuracy. It's just a fact.
It is. And you see it the most when he's throwing across his body, which is when you need the most arm strength. When he's going towards third base and making that turn, that is when you see him airmail ball after ball after ball. And listen, if Bo Bichette is going to repeat the amount of errors he had last year, where if he didn't, I should have double checked, but if he didn't lead the league in errors, he was right there with Tim Anderson of the White Sox. He may have actually surpassed Anderson just because Tim was injured for a bit there. Like both of them are probably they're battling it out constantly for who the worst shortstop is defensively. I mean, it was brought up last night on the show too, right? Wander Franco. Like there's guys out there that are just not great defensively at shortstop. Now, Wander Franco is a lot younger, and you just know Tampa Bay is going to continue to give him rope there. When does the rope in Toronto run out? It's not yet.
Well, okay. So I want to look to the Yankees for a comparison because what they did with Gleyber Torres, very similar. Brought him up. He made his MLB debut at 21 years old, played like 4 years at shortstop, could not get it done. The error count was high. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was very comparable to Bo Bichette. And then last year, they moved him to second base, and his errors were like 75% less. Like drastic drop because it's a much easier position being that much closer to first base. So there is that path. The other path that gets bandied about, and Hey Kami brought it up in the chat yesterday, Derek Jeter, below average defensive shortstop, but I would say Derek Jeter had the arm strength.
And I think Derek Jeter was an average shortstop. All the big deal gets brought up about Derek Jeter because he won Gold Glove after Gold Glove, and the defensive metrics nowadays show that probably shouldn't have been the case. But Derek Jeter was absolutely an average shortstop, maybe even slightly above average defensively. Bo Bichette is not. And that was one of my predictions at the start of the season, was that, especially after watching him not make an error all spring, I was like, you know what? Maybe Bo Bichette has it within himself to be an average defensive shortstop. And that's all we need out of Bo. But what we can't have is him constantly giving up base runners and runs from bonehead plays, throwing the ball when he shouldn't, and airmailing things and giving up that extra 90 feet. I have no solutions. But if you are a smarter baseball mind than me, please let us know in the comments. What would you like to see this team do with Bo Bichette?
Yeah, I was really kind of, I guess, counting on him putting on some weight as he grew into his maturity and, add 10% to his arm strength. And I think a lot of these throwing errors go away. But
by the way, to circle back to Gleyber Torres, for those wondering, he went from, I think it was 22 errors at shortstop. When they moved him to second, it went down to 7 errors. So it was cut like 75% fewer errors. And maybe we watch Bo get to balls. I mean, my goodness, the dude is an athlete. The range he has is incredible. So maybe he would be a very good second baseman. That is a possibility here. I mean, he does have to still have the wherewithal when a play can't be made to hold the ball.
Yeah, also like the midseason transition from shortstop to second base is
not something you want to see. Yeah.
Not just an easy thing that you just take for granted. Like everything about it is like a ball hit up the middle. You're diving across your body in the complete opposite direction now. Right? It is like the read on that is something you want to work out in the off season and spring training, right?
And who knows what the mental side of that switch midseason would do to Bo? Would he still continue to be the offensive juggernaut that we've seen out of him over the last 10 weeks of him playing baseball? Like he was absolutely fire in September. He has started incredibly hot in spring and even has really contributed these first 3 games of the season. But would that switch lower his offensive production? Like it is all tied in together, and it's a lot easier to sell Bo on second base if maybe come the off season they bring in a legit shortstop and they're like, listen, this is only going to increase your value come free agency. Because the truth is, I don't think that Bo is going to sign long-term with the Blue Jays. And if that's the case, then this organization better be prepared to do what's best for the team as this contention window is open.
Yeah. Okay. So let's end this topic with this.
Yeah.
Do you see the Blue Jays moving Bo off of short this season?
No,
I don't either. I think he's going to get infinity rope this year.
Yes.
And then
I feel the same.
And then November, there's a phone call and they go, look, you had 35 errors, buddy. We got to put you at second. You could be a Gold Glove second baseman. You're going to make more money as a Gold Glove second baseman hitting 330 than you will as a laughable defensive shortstop that hits 330. I don't know if that's true or not, but either way, I think a change has to be made this offseason, and I think it will be. And I don't think it'll happen before then. But again, 3-game sample size. Who knows? Maybe he still has single-digit errors by the end of the year. That's still a possibility, right?
It is a possibility. And you know what? To completely throw him under the bus after one series is kind of unfair to the guy.
Yeah.
And I know.
Shame on you, Kevin Barker.
Yeah. That's where
yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, a big thank you to our sponsor, Left Field Brewing. If you're in Toronto and you have yet to try Left Field beer, you really should. It's one of my favorite when I was living there. Leftfieldbrewery.ca. You go to their shop, you spend $55, and then the free koozie is on us. All you got to use is the code WALKOFF. Do that now.